Hey everybody, this is Torian, and I would like to thank you all for joining me for another episode. If this is your first time, please leave a like, go ahead and comment, and please subscribe while you at it. Let's jump right into it. Alright, so about 2 months ago, we talked about the main story of Ghost of Tsushima, but today we're going to specifically focus on its multiplayer called Legends. Now, right off the bat, one thing I love about Legends as a whole is that how seamlessly it flows in with the story. Because in the main story of Ghost of Tsushima, there's this guy that's just kind of randomly pops up everywhere. I think his name is Gyozen, or I think it's Gyozen or something like that. But he's a storyteller, and if you just listen closely, he's telling the stories of what's happening in the multiplayer. So I thought that was really cool how they kind of just intertwine these two worlds together. So that's what we're going to be diving into today. All right, so Legends is it consists of four different game modes. You have your story, you have survival, rivals, and also raids. Now with the story, it's based. I can't remember off the top of my head how many main story missions there are, but just a brief synopsis. There are three sections inside of each chapter, and you have to just complete objectives, to move on to each section of the story, which I find to be really cool. And with that, you and another partner, you go through this alone, or if you're good enough, you can just solo it by yourself, which I think is which can be a challenge, but it's more than it's doable. Then you have survival. It's like I said, self-explanatory. You survive 15 waves and you collect goodies at the end. And then with rivals, again, is you and a partner who you guys tag team. You guys fight off just endless hordes of enemies, and you guys gain points. And the objective is to sabotage the other team. With the points that you collect. And once you gain 65 points, you have to prepare to you go into it's basically like a 3 round survival. Basically defend your territory against a horde of enemies that come in each round. And, whoever can withstand the 3 rounds, they win the whole thing. That was later introduced, the DLC, and I love playing rivals. And then with that one, you get more unlockables, and we'll talk about unlockables later. And then lastly, you have the raids. Now, I only beat raids one time, because you got to have a lot of patience. That those take hours upon hours to beat. You have to be familiar with the levels. I mean, the level designs are absolutely complicated. The enemies are overly aggressive. It's almost like fighting Mike Tyson while trying to solve a Rubik's cube blindfolded. You know what I mean? That's what I feel like the raids are like. So if you're familiar with the main story, the combat's still the same as far as the light attack, the heavy attack, blocking and parrying and things like that. The only difference I recall is when Jin is, changing stances with the sword, and also the ghost weapons. In Legends, the only time you can switch stances is if you have the master katana, and that's it. Or unless you have a katana with multiple stances with it, and you'll see that whenever we start to talk about customization. But normally you'll acquire a sword that only has one stance. And the ghost weapons are attached. Like if you just hold R1 and you can get, I think it's like circle, triangle, or and those buttons that are attached to it. So they changed that up just a little bit just for the online play. But other than that, those are the only differences. So getting into my favorite part of this online play, that's the characters, that's the customization. But first we're going to start with the characters. There are 4 classes to choose from. You have the samurai, you have the hunter, the ronin, and also the assassin. Each of them cater to specific play styles and player needs and things like that, and they all have their own special abilities. The samurai is an absolute tank. His special ability, when you fill all 3 resolves up, he just slices through enemies. And again, it just depends on what situation I'm in. I picked the samurai. The hunter, when she has a full bar, she she attacks multiple enemies at once with her arrows, and that's such a dope ability. The Ronin is a healer, and he brings his guys back from the dead, and that can be very useful, especially in survival. Let's see, and the assassin, he can basically stretch. He can basically strike an opponent, not an opponent, but an enemy almost halfway across the map. If you can see him, he will strike him, and that's his ability is so cool to do. He can also vanish. He's very stealthy. And see, it's funny because in the beginning, I catered to the assassin or the samurai because I was used to playing like that when I was playing the main story. And the more I started to play the online play, I I fell in love with the hunter and the Rona. I love the way they fight. I love the way they can manage a battle. If any, because like I said, the hunter is as far as she's the range master, and then the Ronin is kind of like a hybrid. If you get that bomb pack, you're pretty much OP. That guy can heal and he can keep a distance between you and the enemies. Now, as far as like the customization goes, man, like you unlock this stuff from the main story and completing challenges, via online. As far as like, you know, finding certain scrolls or unlocking many chests or taking out a certain amount of enemies, doing bonus objectives during survival. There's so many requirements. Now, granted, I haven't unlocked everything. I'm pretty close to it, but like as you can see, I've unlocked a good amount, and that is so fun just to have somebody that you can personalize to be, if anything, to just embody you just while you're out there just interacting with others. I'm talking about bodying other people. You know what I mean? Just out there. People recognize me for the way the way my character's dressed. It's in if anything, I'm always interchanged between three outfits. That's just the way I'm set up. But anyway, this multiplayer came out in 2020, and I'm still playing it 4 years later. To me, it feels timeless. It has a high replay value. I highly recommend it to anybody that's wanting to jump on any kind of online play. And if you've played it and you like it, or if you don't like it, let's talk about it. Uh, Drop a comment down below. Other than that, guys, I hope y'all have an incredible day. Until next time, peace out.